I'm Michael from SwissWatchExpo. We've got the Tag Heuer Caliber 16s in a great 41mm size. We've talked before about the history of the Tag Heuer Carrera, and it's a really cool history. You should look into it. Is named after a Mexican road race that ran from 1950 to 54, the Carrera Panamericana, and it was considered the most dangerous racing event that's ever been held. They finally had to just stop it after 5 years because there was so much carnage, but it's one of the great racing stories in history. And when Jack Heuer wanted to take the Heuer company in a little bit more of a sporting racing direction in 1963, he launched the Carrera as a chronograph wristwatch. And the model we have here, the Caliber 16, it really has a lot of those retro vintage looks to it. It's a watch that Tag Heuer launched for the 55th anniversary of the Carrera in 2018 at Baselworld. And when you look at this, especially this one, it really has that vintage look to it with the dial configuration. This is Caliber 16, which is based on the infamous and notoriously good Valjoux 7750. It's also a Solita SW500, if that's more your the way you like to roll with it. But it's either way, it's based on this movement configuration that is one of the greatest all-time chronograph movements. It's a lateral clutch chronograph movement, and they generally have the same layout where you'll see the running seconds at 9, the minutes counter at 12, the hours counter at 6, and then a date at 3. I usually like the 2 subdials on chronographs, but with the 3, this one really looks nice because sort of that weight of the look of the running seconds hand being separate at 9 o'clock is counterbalanced by the date and the Tag Heuer logo that's an applied piece over here, and the name Carrera Caliber 16 at 3. It sort of sets it off visually. When you look at this one, this again I think is the most retro looking of the bunch. This one has a blue ceramic bezel with the tachymeter scale. The subdials are really legible, very clear, separate from the rest of the watch. And anything that has to do with the chronograph, which is really the focus of the watch, is red. So we have these capstan style pushers, and the one to start and stop is red. So is the big chronograph second hand. And then the running counters, you can see those hands are red as well. So this one looks the most like a 60s Heuer chronograph to me, but it's got a lot of great upgrades. It does have a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating inside and out. It has the ceramic bezel, which is virtually scratch-proof, won't fade, won't change color over the years. The bracelet is modern engineering, much nicer than vintage bracelets ever are because it's a lot more heavy-duty. Each link is machined, and it has a less of a taper than vintage bracelets did. So it stays thick all the way around, and it has a double trigger to release the deployant buckle, which is also machined. And then it does have a closed case back, and that's a sort of a tribute, again, to the vintage chronographs of the 60s. They never had exhibition case backs. This one, they have made 100 meters water resistant. So even without a screw down crown, the case back does screw down, and you're able to even go swimming in it, water sports, anything like that you might want to do with it. So definitely has a look of racing. The chapter ring on it has the seconds, individual seconds are marked, but also partial seconds. So when you're timing something and you want to stop that chronograph and you stop it, you can easily read even the fractional seconds, start, stop, and reset at 12. And it has a very definite feel. This is a watch. One thing I like about the 7750 based movements is that when the chronograph hand comes past 12, it's a definite snap of the minute counter to jump over to the next minute. You never have to wonder which minute you're on with these. The bracelet itself, it's sort of a 3-link bracelet, but it gets away from there being any confusion that they're trying to imitate, say, a Rolex Oyster bracelet, because it's a combination of brushed and polished, and the center links are a completely different shape from the Rolex bracelets. So to me, it's a great look. The 41 millimeter size, my wrist is about 7¼ 7½, I guess. This is one of the best size Carreras. There are certainly bigger ones out there. There's a lot of people that like the 43s, 45s, but at 41, this is going to be a very comfortable watch for most people that would be buying this one. Now, I'll point out to you one thing that's interesting about this one is that they went with a design choice to make the lume sort of a cream color, like a sort of a Fotina vintage look to it. And I think that it almost disappears when you're looking at it. The blue and the red and the white are so bold that you almost don't even notice that sort of beige colored patina looking on the lume. Now, they made the same watch in a slightly less bold version that still has the ceramic bezel but doesn't have the contrasting subdials, and it makes the dial look a little bit less busy. If you really like the vintage racing look, you're going to want to go with the one with the contrasting subdials, and that would be the one that Jack Heuer would want you to have because he was all about the legibility of the chronograph. But this one I think could do a little more variety as far as just day-to-day wear because it's not quite so bold. It still has that sporting, motoring look to it, and you're still going to have the really beautiful blue dial that they added to this one. It has sort of a depth to the blue that you don't see in a lot of other watches. And to me, that's a really good look and one that I would definitely be considering if I was looking at this watch. They made a black version that has gotten a lot of good press. People love this super high contrast on this one. The combination of the black with the subdials and then the touch of red, it really has been a winner. This one is a very much a 60s racing inspired look with the perforated strap. A lot of people call these racing straps. It's got the red inside, red stitching. It really carries the look through the rest of the design of the watch. So that one would definitely be towards the top of my pick list as well. But from 2019, here we have one where they went full-on dressier with the watch. It does not have the ceramic bezel, which makes the watch look a little smaller, even though it's still 41 millimeter. It's exactly the same size, but it's sort of a trick of the eyes that it looks smaller. It doesn't have contrasting subdials, and they included the exhibition case back on this one, so you can see the Cote de Genève, the engraving on the plate and on the rotor. You get a good look at that 7750 based movement, the caliber 16. And this is not one of the movements that Tag Heuer has gotten some grief about for having some plastic parts. Here at SwissWatchExpo, we don't carry any of their sort of lower end of the range watches. We only carry the top offerings from Tag Heuer. And the 7750 does not have any plastic parts. It's a really a great high-grade movement that's been used by lots of other companies. Omega and Breitling, to name a couple, have used the 7750, and it's one of those workhorse movements that is considered bulletproof in the industry. It's a really well-made movement. The watch itself, just as far as wearability goes, it is a little bit thick, but you would expect that from a sports watch. So that really doesn't bother me at all. The lugs, even though they're known for being really long on a Carrera, being the 41 millimeter, it really fits nicely on the wrist. So it really makes that a non-issue for me, the fact that the lugs are still that long Carrera look, but it gives you that vintage retro look. So give us a call here at SwissWatchExpo. There's a lot of different varieties of Tag Heuer Carreras because it is sort of their flagship model. When you tend to think of Tag Heuer, this is the watch that probably comes to mind. But there's a lot of different variations on it, and we're happy to help you sort those out. We're happy to talk about movement differences, about case differences. We can do FaceTime videos and show you the watch on a wrist if you like. But give us a call, see what we've got in stock today, and we'll be happy to take care of you.